Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal. And I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David, how you doing tonight?
Well, I'm elated, Bruce. That was the biggest win, I feel, of the McDavid era.
Really?
And yeah, that was absolutely huge. And it always seems like that in the moment, perhaps. But listen, they can't lose this game and then win this series. I don't think these two teams are fairly closely matched. But I think Edmonton is the better team. And Edmonton, like they can, it's such a crucial year to win the Stanley Cup for this team. They've got a chance at it. And that they needed that game, Bruce. They needed that game. And not only was it a great game for the Oilers, but the hero of the game was Connor McDavid, scoring that third period goal. That is the biggest goal, I think, of his career. And I got a lot of hyperbole in me tonight, Bruce, but that's how I see it.
I read your grades.
Gave him a 10. That game, it was just critical, Bruce. Critical to the franchise, critical to Connor McDavid, and they got it done. So I think I've moved on to my good thing ahead of time. What did you think of the game?
Well, it was very much. It seemed like when the Oilers had their top line on the ice, they were completely dominant, and the rest of the game they were just kind of hanging on. And I think all the numbers support that. But the first line was completely dominant and first pairing. And you look at the summary and you have goals by Draisaitl, Eckholm, McDavid, and Bouchard. You know, I mean, who else was going to score tonight? Thankfully, all those guys did. And Bouchard with a great, I would say, assist, but he was actually the goal scorer, Ian Cole, on the game winner.
The goat of the Canucks, man. He had a rough first game, too.
Tipped it right into his own net. I guess he thought Hyman was behind him and a threat to put it in, but if you're going to tip it away, you better miss the net. And he didn't. But so a bit of a cheesy winner, but Edmonton was all over them throughout the third period. They just outshot them, dominated in the third period, 15-2 on the shot clock. And it was just minute at a time possession pressure from the top unit, and Artur Silovs hung in there and made a few big stops. JT Miller, who's a fantastic player, made at least 3 sensational defensive plays.
Bruce, I just have to stop you there for a second.
I know.
A cheesy overtime goal, that is sacrilege.
I'll take it,
my friend. That is complete.
Well, a lot of them are cheesy goals, but you take them.
The Oilers, right from the start of overtime, they were putting everything at net. They were firing every chance they got. Anytime they were close, they were firing at net. This was strategy, and it paid off. And it was the loveliest goal other than McDavid's goal of the McDavid era. Anyway, all right, let's move on. 2 good things, 2 bad things, 2 numbers in 1 conundrum. Bruce will do 2 good things each, since this was, as we both now agree, the biggest win in hockey history. So 2 good things each. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I have to go with Leon Draisaitl, who went from being a doubtful starter to not only being a starter, but a finisher and a setter-upper and a workhorse who played 27 minutes and 5 seconds in this game, generating a team high 11 shot attempts, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points in on every goal, and just all over it. And if you hadn't seen the game on Monday night and you just sort of tuned in for this one, you would just think business as usual, not some guy who was battling back spasms or whatever the hell it was. And I was concerned that Vancouver would be running them every chance that they got. I sent a note to you and Kurt saying that Dry's going to need to have his cudgel handy tonight for all the Canucks that are going to be running him. And he did get clobbered once in the corner, but for the most part, he seemed to stay out of uh, the receiving end of stuff. And it didn't keep him from being involved in the play in the battle. But just thought another terrific all-around game from him. Maybe not the dominant defensive performance that we've seen in recent times when he was playing center, but they put him on the wing because he's nursing something, and they want this is third or fourth playoffs in a row. We've seen the same thing. One of the Low Tide calls them the Glimmer Twins. One of them gets banged up, so they just put them together and let them work their magic together. And tonight they worked a lot of magic, and it was enough to win the Oilers the game. And huge credit to the guy fighting through the physical issue.
Like Glimmer Twins, that's Richards and Jagger, right?
Yeah.
Who's Richards and who's Jagger? I guess we know Leon's Richards.
Yeah.
And McDavid's Jagger. It's got to be that, Bruce. Richards they've both got attitudes, but Richards has the real attitude, Keith Richards, and so does Leon. They didn't hit them, Bruce, and it's a really interesting point because I was surprised at how little they were hitting them. It's almost like they got scared of them and started to back off. They struck me as being incredibly passive against that line instead of going after them, which is what you need to do. They were backing off. And especially as the game went along, they were backing off, especially in the third period. There was times when I thought, they're going to get them out now. They're going to go after them and they're going to get the puck out. But they just didn't go after them. And I don't quite understand why that might have been. So Leon, he was feeling so good out there, Bruce, that some of his shift lengths, okay, here are some of Leon's shift lengths in the game. 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Now, some of these are on the power play. There's one. Did they have 3 power plays? He's got 1 240, 1 152, and 1 157 shifts. So I'm guessing
officially they had 3 each team, but one of the power plays was only 24 seconds long, and Leon was actually in the box and didn't even play that. And then Hyman took a penalty right away anyway.
So one of those monster shifts was
5 on
even
5.
5 on 5, and I think I remember it. It was like I was thinking, okay, Leon, what are you doing? Get off the ice. It was one of those moments where I'm thinking, you're going to get scored on. You've been out there way too long. You've had an ample opportunity to shift off, but he was just out there. He had other shifts of 115, 114, 110, 120 in the third, and then 108 in overtime. So Leon.
Well, it's a long way to your own bench in the third period when the puck is deep in the other team's territory.
There you go.
Right. It's you talk about the long change in the second period. Well, if you have to peel back from behind the other team's net, it's a long change to your own bench. That line was just all over it. Over.
I didn't have any complaint about his shift except for that one shift that I didn't go back and identify it, but he was out for one super long shift. But you know what? I thought this is good news because he's feeling it. And he's good to go, and he was ready to play, and he was fantastic. What a fantastic game from Leon Draisaitl. Bruce, my game is my good thing is Connor McDavid, and he in the previous 3 games in the playoffs, Connor McDavid, a lot of it was maybe just he didn't have a shot against Vancouver in the first game. More surprising to me because we're tracking grade A shots, and all year long he's averaged about 4 grade A shots at even strength per game, 4 per game. In those 3 games, Bruce, he had 3 in total, 1 each game, the last 3 playoff games, 2 against LA, 1 against Vancouver. And I went over the video because I couldn't figure out, like, no shots and just 1 contribution to a grade A shot. What's going on with McDavid? And watching the video, he was curiously not moving his feet in that first game. He really wasn't. There was all kinds of examples where he was standing still trying to make plays, and he was constantly giving away the puck, just endless. Now Vancouver, they weren't shadowing him, they weren't doing anything special, except for they were on him all the time. They were really on him, pressuring him, and he to some extent allowed that to happen by not moving his feet. This game, he came out. And with Hyman and Draisaitl on the same line, and he was moving his feet. He got an early power play, especially. He really ramped it up. And as the game went on, he just got going more and more and more. He revved it up, revved it up, revved it up, until again, a defining moment, one of the defining moments, one of the great goals of his career. When it's going to be all said and done, I'm going to remember this one, where he picks that puck, takes it in, makes like a 10,000 dekes in 0.1 of a second, and rips it past the goalie. He was so determined to score. So he was going to score, and he did. And it was just, they needed that goal so desperately, and he provided it. And then in the overtime, he came out there on the winning goal, and he got that puck at his own zone, and he charged up ice with, the will to score. He ends up passing it off to Draisaitl, who puts it to Bouchard, who scores it. But, that starts again with McDavid moving fast. There was other really good plays, especially one late in the second period where they were breaking out throughout to the Canucks, and McDavid realized that and just charged back as fast as he's gone ever on the attack, and he caught up to Elias Pettersson and stopped the play. Put one off the post early in the third on the power play. In total,
that was a hell of a shot.
In total, Bruce, 13 major contributions to grade A shots in this game. On 13 out of the 18 grade A shots the Oilers had. The Oilers had 18-6 in this game. 13, McDavid was involved. And he did have one mistake on the 4-on-4 goal where he didn't get out to the point fast enough on a face-off play, which can be a tough play, but it was a mistake nonetheless. Anyway, Bruce, I gave him a bonus. I had him as a 9, but because of the clutch nature of that goal, that big goal, I gave him an extra bonus point. That's how he got to 10 in this game. Even though he wasn't perfect, he did make a mistake. He did make one mistake.
They were all big goals tonight, David. There were 3 tying goals and 1 winning goal. But the one that tied it to send it to overtime in the third period was arguably the biggest of them all. But
they were, and they kept coming back, didn't they?
They kept tying it up.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to your second good thing, because I think you're going to cover one of those goals.
Yeah, I sure am. A big man in this game, Matthias Eckholm. My goodness, did he have a game tonight?
Did he ever, Bruce?
Yeah, and it was he who pounded home the 2-2 goal in the 4-on-4 just 23 seconds after Brock Besser had scored on that deflection. Put Vancouver ahead 2-1 in the first minute of the second, and just a handful of seconds later, Edmonton's, well, in this case, Big Four, minus Hyman, quickly got it back where Draisaitl fired a pass in front, and it caught McDavid's skate. My son was saying he thought McDavid actually, this was how he played it, but it certainly bounced off McDavid's skate right to Eckholm. And, everybody was kind of reacting to the bounce of the puck, and before the goalie could get set, bam, top corner. And Eckholm put that away.
Nice shot, eh?
Very nice shot. Very nice shot.
And then the Barcelona back heel for McDavid is Kevin's. That's Kevin's. His story, and he's sticking to it. I'm not so sure about that, but I'll go with it.
Yeah.
He did have a perfect game after all, so.
Well, he had a transcendent game, David. I'll agree with that.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Eckholm, this is at even strength when he's on the ice. Oilers 37 shot attempts, Vancouver 6 shots on net. Edmonton 16, Vancouver 1, 16-1.
That's with the shots.
Shots on net with Eckholm on the ice.
Just put that in my game grades here, so if you hear me typing.
2-0 in goals, 18-2 in scoring chances, natural static version, and 10-2 in high danger chances. And just put out fires, and I thought smart movement of the puck, especially in the offensive zone. Like, he was good on the point, and he kept the cycle alive a few times, and made safe, smart plays to just get the puck into a place where a teammate could win it, even if it wasn't a direct pass, just to keep the cycle going. And such a smart and steady performer. And I thought he was outstanding in this game.
So fundamentally sound. He kept a clean sheet at even strength. Not one mistake on a grade A shot against at even strength, which is really remarkable. Like he's such a.
So you're saying that one shot wasn't a grade
A? Which one?
The one they got in all the time he was out there, 16-1 and 22.5
Oh
minutes.
yeah, that was
Vancouver
not.
got one shot.
Well, that was the goal, wasn't it? Because but he didn't make a mistake on that one. That was a 4-on-4 situation.
Oh, that was 4-on-4. Yeah, this is all 5-on-5 numbers.
Oh, that's 5-on-5. Okay, yeah, the one no. So
and his goal was also 4-on-4, right? So
yeah,
he was +2 on the night, and so 3-4, 1 against, and 1 power play goal. That's right.
In the eternal battle over Ken Holland's reputation in Edmonton, maybe top of the list when you're bringing up good things is the Matthias Eckholm trade, which looks better with every passing moment. I mean, Tyson Barrie's career kind of crashed in Nashville. I don't want to be mean about it, but that's a fair comment, I think. Evan Bouchard took off because of that trade. His career took off. And so far, the futures that Nashville got have not been. They're actually about what you'd expect. Even when you're drafting and like players in that range, we'll see what happens. But they usually don't make it. Like they're about 1-4 making it as regular NHLers, players drafted in that part of the draft. Anyway, he was fantastic. Bruce, my second good thing is his defensive partner Evan Bouchard, and again, I gave him a 9 out of 10. I gave Eckholm a 9 out of 10, both of them. What did they call that unit in Detroit? Did they have a name for that? The
Russian 5.
Yeah, we've got our own Russian 5 here, except it is kind of like that. They play their own style of game and their own. They were so good this game. Evan Bouchard was so good this game, Bruce. There has been an endless amount of criticism directed towards Evan Bouchard, mainly from people who think he's too soft and too slow, and sometimes he is. Sometimes he is. But there's people who have generally always been in his corner, and they've recognized what an incredible passer of the puck he is. And he's just getting better and better. He's getting more confident, is what I'm noticing. It. He's just so calm. He's making great moves at the blue line often to get around a player, calmly going around a player. Even though he's not super fast, he's so good with the puck. His hands are so good with the puck that he's able to get around players. And he won a battle. I think that was him. You'll have to go over the video, but I think he won the battle that kicked off McDavid's scoring chance. His goal in the third period. He made a really good play in front of the net. Then it went to Draisaitl, who flipped it up the ice, kind of through Hyman, and McDavid scooped it up. So,
kind of a broken play, and Soucy, I think, kind of wiped out his defensive partner there and kind of opened up the ice a bit. And of course, McDavid was the wrong guy to be doing that against.
Bouchard got a really good shot on net. It was a nice breakout play where Draisaitl made a fantastic cross ice pass to Hyman, who took it in, and then pivoted and made a great kind of drop side pass to Bouchard, who came close to scoring on that play. It was a very dangerous shot for him because he's such a great shooter. And in overtime, of course, he got the winner, just throwing it at the net, and it goes in off Ian Cole's skate. Bruce, he played a team high. Last time I checked, the event summary sometimes changes. 29-59 in this game. He did make, in theory, on the Miller's goal, the tip shot, that was kind of Bouchard's guy. Maybe he could have made a play on his stick on it. It would have been a pretty tough play because Miller was fairly high out there.
He was high in the slot, yeah.
Yeah, and there was kind of a guy behind Bouchard. I don't know if he was aware of him, so he was kind of stuck in the middle, and Eckholm was late getting back to cover there. So anyway, he wasn't a perfect game either, but man, he is playing such a fine, smart hockey right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's he's putting himself in the conversation with this kind of play if it continues to be on Team Canada. And I know there's lots of excellent right shot defensemen. There's no shortage of them, with certainly Cale Makar and a few others, but he's one of them. He's
He's on
fantastic.
the list for sure.
He's on the list. Your bad thing.
Yeah, well, basically the other defense pairs, and specifically their passing, and more specifically their passing in the defensive zone. My goodness, they had trouble making a 20-foot breakout pass in this game, and there was a lot of just flat out misses or passes that were behind guys, or passes that were behind guys and went by everybody for icing. Nurse was a particular culprit for the icings. But I thought CC, Nurse, Desharnais in particular were having a hard time making sort of short passes to allow the team to break out of their zone with the puck. And so at best, they were sort of dumping it into the neutral zone when they were out there. And I mean, they obviously weren't on the Magic Five. And their main job in this game was to, defend and keep the Canucks from scoring, because they sure were never going to. It didn't seem like. But I just thought that they really need to clean up that passing and start just tape to tape. It's I mean, give the Canucks credit for forechecking hard, but tape to tape is still tape to tape. You make a good pass and you beat the hard forecheck, and they were just struggling, and maybe got a little better in it later in the game, but especially the first two periods, I was constantly grumbling about pucks not getting out clean and turnovers in the defensive zone, or just passes to nobody that just came right back at him. And I just think that's a facet of the game that needs a bit of work.
Yeah, I thought Kulak actually was pretty good. He listen. I thought Vinny Desharnais really struggled, and you mentioned this the other day that you thought Desharnais was struggling, and tonight I really saw it myself. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like every time he got the puck, the play died on his stick. Like he was not making plays, and he was defending okay, not great, but okay. But he was having a hard time, and CC was as well. Both of those right shot defensemen were struggling. I thought Nurse had a good game. And I particularly liked his hard check on Elias Peterson, which could have been a penalty. Like if they had been penalized, I wouldn't have been surprised. But it's the kind of hit that Nurse needs to make and makes when he's playing his A game. And it's the kind of penalty when you make it on a smaller player like Elias Peterson, throws them off and can keep them out of the series. It can force them out of the series. Not necessarily through injury, but just because they don't want that to happen again. So in playoff hockey, that kind of brutal, hard check makes a difference. And Nurse throwing that, and if he throws more of them, that's fantastic. I thought he was okay with the puck, and Kulak I thought was actually good with the puck. But CC and Desharnais, I think Bruce, honestly, I think they could replace Cody CC right now with Philip Broberg, and they would be a better team. And I know that's a radical thing to say. That would be a radical change. It's not going to happen. But the way CC's played the last couple games, like tonight, he let Besser up ice on a dangerous odd man rush in the third period, and Besser fortunately missed the net on the shot. But I'm tired of seeing that play, and I don't think he's making enough plays, although he was generally solid on defense otherwise.
Well, there was one sequence in the first period where Canucks were cycling, and Desharnais made a great play. He took out two Canucks right in a row in the defensive left corner. He wiped out one guy, and then the second guy came in to help, and Vinny took care of him, and he walked away with your puck, and you're thinking, oh, good, we're, here we go north with the puck. Bad pass. Puck stays in. They get the puck back. Second bad pass. I think Kulak might have made the second one. They get it back. Desharnais, and the third time that the guy has the puck on his stick with plenty of time, no opponent around him, and time to look around and pick his receiver. And this time, Desharnais just fires it off the boards to Canuck, who I can't remember if he was at the blue line or if he was at center, and it just came right back at him. By then he was out of gas. And, you just had to make one pass out of those three chances, that defense pair, and they couldn't. And then just for equal opportunity, there was one where CC got the puck at the offensive blue line. And in his defense, I think the puck might have escaped the zone. And so it was offside. So his one play was maybe to dump it in or just to eat the puck. So he tries to pass it over to Nurse, misses Nurse, bounces off the boards and back to the Edmonton blue line. They both backtrack. Nurse tries to pass it back to Cece, misses Cece. The puck goes all the way into the defensive corner, and Cece charges in after it, as only he can charge, and got there kind of first, but lost the puck battle. And it went from puck on Edmonton's stick at their blue line to Edmonton losing puck behind their own net. And
so these are two players, I think we would both agree, who work hard on this. Like they block shots. They can be really solid positional defenders at their best. Players. Yeah, at their best, they're courageous positional defenders who get the job done and in against some tough competition. So it's not like I just think if you're thinking about how the Oilers can win the Stanley Cup, that might need more, Bruce, than what they have right now from those two. And they might need someone they might need another Kulak, essentially, because that's what I think Broberg is. And so I just think, Philip Broberg would make defensive mistakes, but so do these guys. And he'll provide much better puck moving. And I think that could be an essential feature both against Vancouver and if they were to get by the Canucks in future series. And this it's just a cold evaluation of the players. This isn't going to happen though, because coaches love their veterans and the team loves their veterans, and it would upset the apple cart too much. Bruce, what's your number?
Yeah, I already gave Eckholm.
I got to give my bad thing.
Yeah. What's your bad thing?
Well, Bruce, that third goal was
bad.
Possibly a game-defining, series-ending goal.
Could have been.
Goal against Zadorov's goal from the corner. And as those kind of goals go, it was a particularly stinker of one. It didn't even go in off his head. Like a lot of the time, they're shooting it off the goals, and it went straight in. How does that happen? How does Stuart Skinner not raise his elbow or blocker or whatever and stop that puck? It was a ghastly, unacceptable mistake. And teams very, very rarely come back from that kind of bad goal against. Late in the period, the score tied late in the second period. How often have we seen goals scored late in the second period where the team just that's it? Yeah. They do not come back. This game, the Oilers find ways to lose games, Bruce. They found a way to lose game one, a game they should have won. And they almost found a way to lose this game. And that was the play. And it was one Stuart Skinner would like to have back, as Louis DeBrusk likes to say. But Bruce, it was just unacceptable. And
everybody else, by the way. That's not just Louis.
It's not just Louis. Stuart had a few good saves, but there was only 6 grade A shots that I counted from the Canucks, and he led in 3 of them. So he didn't get tested a lot, and sometimes that's really hard for a goalie, especially in the third period. I think it was like 10 or 11 to 1 on the grade A shots, but he didn't get anything in overtime of note, if anything at all. Skinner,
couple outside shots.
Yeah. Anyway, that was bad. That was bad.
Yeah. Do you think CC tipped it? It was kind of hard to tell. I thought it just kind of went straight in. And there was one angle I thought maybe the puck got a little bit of a flutter, but I saw CC get criticized for tipping it, and I also saw him get criticized for not tipping it. Someone said he needed to get his stick. All he needed to do was get stick on puck, and that doesn't go in. And I'm thinking, you want to blame CC for that goal,
No,
okay.
He's not. He
gave up a shot from the corner.
Well, it could have been a centering
String
pass
them
that
up.
could have caused trouble more than anything else. It's like from CC's perspective, this could be like kind of a centering pass that could cause a lot of trouble. So that's why you want him to get stick on puck to stop anything from going out front of the net. Just turns out this went in the net. You could just say it's I guess, if you wanted to be kind about it, you say it's a fluke. It's just a fluky goal and really not on Skinner.
But man, square.
He was all shaky in that net at that moment. He wasn't on the post. It was horrible. All right, have we made enough of that, Bruce? Is it time to?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right, what is your number?
Yeah, I'm going to go with 19, which is the number of shots Edmonton allowed in 65 minutes and change in this game, holding the home team to under 20 shots. Mind you, Vancouver's shot counter is very probably the most parsimonious in the league, who was scoring
shots.
Well, he calls them wide shots because I think they figure if the goalie stops it, they analyze and say, well, would that have gone in if it hadn't been in? They're way more like they don't give the goalie credit for much on a shot that's sort of near the post. Like Seeloff's made a fantastic save off a McDavid one-timer on the power play early in the game. And they said it was a wide shot. And ridiculous. Man, I looked at the replay. I think, yeah, that was wide all right. If it hadn't hit Seeloff's, it was in the net, but let's call it wide. So there's some of that, but nonetheless, Edmonton out shooting Vancouver 31-19. And especially on a night where their goaltender was, had that bad moment, and Edmonton just shut him down to 2 shots in the third and a couple of fairly insignificant ones in the overtime. And I thought, their defensive game did pick it up, even as they had their struggles moving the puck out of the zone. They weren't gifting sort of free shots from the slot. And as a general rule, I thought they did a pretty good job limiting Vancouver.
My number, Bruce, is also shots related. I had written a post today about how the Oilers are getting outchanced at even strength through the playoffs and in game 1 against the Canucks. Overall in the playoffs, they're I think the numbers were in the regular season it was 12-9 for grade A shots, 12 for the Oilers, 9 for the opposition at even strength. In the playoffs, it has been 8-9 for the opposition. So the Oilers are way down from the regular season, and they need their top players were way down in terms of their production. But tonight, at even strength, it was 12-5 for the Oilers, and overall it was 18-6 for the Oilers. Here's the scary thing, though, Bruce. This is the crux of my number. Of those grade A shots, McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Bouchard, and Eckholm, and then on the power play, you throw in Nugent Hopkins. They created 16 out of the 18 grade A shots. There was one by Nuge at the end of the game, but Eckholm, Bouchard, and Draisaitl were also in on that one. Mm-hmm. And then there was one from McLeod, and it was McLeod threw it at the net, and it hit the skate of the Quinn Hughes, I think, or some defender, and almost went in. So that was the only other one.
Accidental grade A.
It was an accidental grade A. The other lines got nothing done. Now they did, to give the other lines a little credit, they came on as the end of the game went on. The Ryan line, for instance, had a really great shift with Janmark and Ryan late in the game with about 5 minutes left. They kept it in the opposition zone for about 60 seconds. The Nugent Hopkins line came on a little bit as the game went on as well. Mm-hmm. But 16 out of the 18 shots essentially engineered by the Big Five, with Nuge chipping in also on the power play once in that grouping. So our conundrum, Bruce, is how can you win when you only have one line? If the Oilers, let's say they stick with, and it's going to be pretty hard to move away from that top line at this point.
It did after all work.
Can they win? Can they win with this formation? Is that going to work or not? What say you, Bruce McCurdy?
Well, I think we're going to see it for a while because we've seen the same movie play out in these previous playoffs. One of those big guys gets softened up a bit, and they wind up putting them together. And I mean, tonight we saw the plus side of that. They got 4 goals, and they could have had 8.
Yeah.
They really were that dominant, and the 4 goals that proved were just enough to win. But I mean, going into overtime, or even before, was there any time you thought, well, let's put out this other Oilers line and get a goal from them? I mean, I'm just thinking, let's just survive, keep the score the same as it is until the big boys get another shift, and we'll take our chances then. And that's essentially how it played out. I don't love it as a long-term strategy. My own preference is, run 2 lines with McDavid and Draisaitl separate, as they did against the Kings to great effect. Draisaitl had a phenomenal series playing center against the Kings. But I'm not religious about it, in the sense that it has to be 100% of the time. This is the way they need to do it. It's the only way that's going to work. This is the one true way for Edmonton Oilers to succeed. And every time they stray from it, they've strayed from the path. There's 2 options, and I like both of them, and I like that they use both of them. Sometimes the balance between the 2, like in 2021 against Winnipeg, Dave Tippett put McDavid and Draisaitl together in the second period of Game 1 and just left them there, even though it wasn't working.
He broke up the dynamite line, didn't he? Or was
Yes.
that against? No, that was, or was that against Chicago?
That was against Chicago.
Chicago, he broke up the dynamite line. What an idiotic move that was. Boy, we gave it to
I wasn't too happy about that either. But but it seems, it does keep happening in the playoffs. And here we are, I mean, tonight there was a reason to do it, and they did it, and it worked, and they won. And that line, did all of the heavy lifting in terms of offense.
So I think we'll see it, Bruce, until they lose.
Yeah.
If they lose, then that's an opportunity to shift back. And if Draisaitl gets healthy, I think we saw this because he was unhealthy. I don't think we would have seen it otherwise.
Yes.
So because he was playing so great, running his own line. So I think if he gets healthy again enough to run his own line, or if they lose one or the other, we might see a change. The second thing is, I think if they shift the other lines around, and I've been pushing this Fogle, McLeod, Holloway line, I think that might be a line that could work. And it might just bring out the best in each of these guys, because they won't be looking to any veteran guy. They'll have to do it themselves. They'll have to figure it out without relying on a veteran player with them. And they're all fast. They're all aggressive. They can all make plays. And I think maybe they could get it done. It's a second line now that Henrique's back, and I'm glad he's back. He is a very steady player. Henrique, Kane, and Nugent Hopkins also might be a good line. Like those are 3 good hockey players, smart hockey players who can figure things out. And they should be able to figure out how to get some goals at even strength between the 3 of them. So if that's your second line, and then you move Corey Perry down, or you put in Brown instead of Corey Perry, Brown, Ryan, and Janmark, or Brown, Carrick, and Janmark, those could be the lines. And then you have that big line. So the reason I've been more open to the big line than in the past is just the acknowledgement of what we've seen in the playoffs at even strength. It's these teams are stacking in front of the net, parking the bus, making it very difficult to create anything at even strength, generally speaking. And to get through that, maybe you need your best players together. Maybe that's what's going to work. And we talked about this as the season was winding down, as maybe that, I think you brought it up, and I agreed to it. And I thought maybe you did bring it up. You suggest that this might be a strategy they're going to need to score when the checking is so tight in the playoffs. And I think it turned out, your statement turned out to be true. They did need it this game. They weren't going to create all these chances otherwise, and together they did. They just dominated the game. It was an astounding performance by that top line. Actually, it really was amazing. So it worked, and we'll see it next game. Obviously, you don't break up what works, but
Vancouver would like them to break it up at this point, because they didn't have any answers tonight.
Yeah, Kevin Bieksa, he's kind of a secret agent for the Canucks, and he was suggesting that the It's too much ice time for that line, and they should maybe, I don't know if he's suggesting
Well, it was
breaking it
too
up, but
much
don't
ice
play them
time
so
for.
much. Don't play them. Don't play them so much. It's actually a good point. Like you can't. They're not going to win the cup
Right.
without one line playing 25 minutes a night. It's not going to happen. So we'll see what happens next. But I think Knobloch, I don't know if he's as wedded to it as the other coaches have been. And I don't know if the players themselves, Bruce, are as wedded to it. I think that they're fundamentally, they'll do anything to win at this point. And I mean, Bob Stoffer's talked about how the Canucks are a desperate team and they're willing to buy into what Rick Tocchet is selling. I think the Oilers are even more desperate than the Canucks to win. And they've had more painful moments. And there's more of a feeling of the clock ticking down for this group of players. So I think they're like, whatever the strategy is, they're going to put themselves. There's not going to be any grumbling or thinking I should be with, on the top line or whatever. We should group all the top. I don't think that's going to happen if it ever happened in the past. I think they're ready to do whatever it takes. So I think we're going to see more shifting back and forth between them being on the same line and them leading their own lines.
Yeah, well, hopefully, Leon, whatever it is spasms or something, and they go away. As we said, certainly didn't appear to be bothering him that much tonight. But we didn't see too many like full length dashes coming back like he was playing center. He was doing a lot of hard.
Yeah, there wasn't that back checking, was there? No. Well,
And
that's
he's
what.
playing a different position tonight. And
Yeah, that's what 30 Rabaxa set will do to a guy, Bruce. I think and I agree, it probably was his back. Bruce, I know
he
that
said so on the bench. My back.
He did. Bruce, I believe that you have a date with some Aurora Borealis tonight.
Yeah. Of all the nights for the game to go into overtime, this wasn't the one I would have chosen. But here we are, committed to the podcast, and here we are. But we're basically at the end, so I'm about to make a dash for darker skies and hopefully catch some of the Aurora show that presumably is ongoing. It was all around the world earlier, and so I haven't heard too many reports from local because I've kind of been zoomed in on hockey these last few hours. But time to get on with that other part of my life.
Bruce, thanks for talking tonight.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.